Hello, my name is Stacy, and today I want to talk to you about spiritual attack and sickness, and how being under spiritual attack can make you ill and cause all kinds of symptoms and things that you don't even realize that is going on at the time. My journey started in December of 2012, and it has truly taken me this long to get to the point to where I could speak about it. God has laid it on my heart and has told me that it's time. In December 2012, I was going to Louisville to meet my family for the annual Christmas Bazaar meeting that we have. And I got there a little bit before everybody else, and I went to the bathroom and came out, and it literally just felt like someone shot me in the back of the head. This pinpointed pain on the left side of my head just hit, and it just exploded. The pain was excruciating. I never have had a headache before then. I had never been sick really before then. I was a healthy person. I worked in the medical field. I had seen all kinds of illnesses and sicknesses and things before this, but none of this had ever, anything like this had ever happened to me. The pain was really bad, and I just started crying, but I just thought, okay, I can get through this, and I just kept walking around and did. The pain finally subsided after about 20 minutes, and then it was gone. The rest of the day, I got back home, and it happened about 3 more times over the weekend. On Monday, I woke up and I thought, well, I probably need to have this checked out. I had lost my voice. I was talking hoarse. The left side of my head was in excruciating pain. I was having all these adrenaline rushes, and I just knew something was wrong. After going to the emergency room and going to see a neurosurgeon that I had previously worked with before, and going to Mayo twice, and going to Vanderbilt once, and the University of Kentucky, and just all the frustration of no one being able to figure out what was wrong with me, I knew I was sick. This all went on for about 2.5 years. There were a lot of things that happened in between that time, but I won't go into now. But I just want you to know that I was truly sick. I had heart ablation because my heart rate got up to 236. The doctor got in there and he couldn't figure out what was going on. I was in there 4 hours, so it has definitely been a journey at that time of sickness. So after my last visit to Mayo with no answers and nothing but frustration, and the being put through the psychiatric part of it all, saying that this was all in my head, that it was just part of something that I was making up in my head, forming in my head. But I knew that wasn't true. I was a very sound person. I hadn't had any symptoms, nothing, no signs, anything leading up to that day. Before that day, just a quick part of my life was I was not in a good place in my life. I wasn't making good decisions. I had been through a divorce. I was just really struggling with a lot of things at that time when it happened. I was very vulnerable, I guess. And so after my last visit to Mayo, I started seeing a girl who practiced Reiki, which is energy healing, because all of our bodies are made up of energy. Everything in our bodies is energy. So I thought, well, I have nothing else to lose. I've got to get help for what was going on with me. And so after the first 2 or 3 sessions, I could start feeling a difference. My body was really reacting to this. I could tell something strange was going on. But after the 3rd session, I heard this voice in my head. It was the most calming, beautiful voice, peaceful, that it had so much beauty in it, I can't even describe it. And that voice said, "Great things will come from this." Well, while I'm lying there, going through all this, and I'm sitting here thinking, how can anything great come from this? It's been horrible. I was raised Catholic, but we never really I never really practiced Catholic. I went to church, but I never really understood a lot of what was going on. I had never read the Bible. So at the time, this voice was kind of new to me. And then whenever I rolled over to have her work on the back part of me, do the energy healing on the back, I heard the same voice that said, "This isn't just about you anymore." In this most beautiful, peaceful, loving voice that, I was crying because it was just so beautiful that I knew something big was going to come from this. So after that session, my Reiki practitioner said that she was recommending that I go to her acupuncturist just to kind of pinpoint if she could pinpoint where all this is originating, because she was still having a lot of issues with my head and different things trying to get the energy to move. And so I went to see her acupuncturist, and whenever she stuck the needles in me, they were excruciatingly painful. But I laid there and I started having visions, and things just seemed to be moving. And when she came back in there, she told me that I had something going on that she typically wouldn't tell people about, but she knew that I could handle it, and that I had been attacked by an evil entity. And I at first was like, wow, I definitely wasn't expecting that, because I'd never even heard of anything like that happening before. But I just kept going back to that beautiful voice that was talking to me during my Reiki sessions, that told me great things would come from this, and that this wasn't about me anymore. And I just knew without a doubt that what she was telling me was true, without a doubt. But she told me that it was more than what she could handle, so she sent me to her acupuncturist that she studied under. And so I called him a week later and got an appointment with him. And whenever I got in there to talk to him, he was telling me that, it was an evil entity, and I don't even know how to describe it, because at the time that he was talking to me, I could feel that energy, that whatever it was in there, just moving through me like it was angry that I was there. There were several things that happened before I got there that tried to get me to cancel that appointment, doing several things to keep me from going to that appointment. And I knew then that it really did not want to be there, and what was happening to me was real. But I wasn't scared. I wasn't anything like that, because I just kept going back to that voice. And then he told me, he asked me if I was a Christian, and I said yes. And he said, good, because it was going to take every ounce of faith that I had to beat this. So I just said, okay. And so we go in there, and I lay on the table, and he sticks the acupuncture needles in me, and it is horrible, horrible pain. For about the first 15 minutes, it was the most excruciatingly physically, emotional pain that I have ever experienced. And I really didn't think that I was going to make it through it. After about 15 minutes, I thought I got to tell him to stop. It was just too much. And so about that time, I was just started praying, and I saw Jesus. He just came, and he was standing at the head of the bed, and I could just see him there. And he told me, he said, just breathe in the light. And so he had his hands above my head just like this, and this beautiful bright golden light was flowing from his hands. And he said, just breathe in the light, just breathe in the light. And so I just started doing that, and I just taking deep breaths and just picturing breathing in all that light through my body. And after about 5 minutes, the pain went away. all the pain stopped, and just this incredible peace came over me. And I knew then that I was going to be okay. I knew then, without a doubt. So then my acupuncturist came back in after about 30 minutes, and he had told me that the entity was gone, that he had left, and that the light was back in my eyes, the shadows were gone, and that I was going to be okay, that God had a big purpose for me in this world. I was crying then, but I instantly, all the sickness that I had, all the adrenaline rushes, all the headache, all the body jerks, all the symptoms that I had before then were gone, completely gone. I never had another symptom since then. So after that, after I got home and really was starting journaling about it and everything, over the next few days, I felt the incredible beauty, just the peacefulness, just the love, so unbelievable, that I was just like in this cloud of beauty and peace that God had put me in. And then after a few days after that, then it all came to where I started to struggle again with trying to come to terms with what had happened to me. It was a long 2 years of just trying different things, going to different churches, trying to figure all of this out, research everything on my own, to try to figure out why this happened to me, why God did this to me, or why God, I can't say did this to me, He saved me from this evil that was out there. And it is out there, and it is making people sick, and there is spiritual warfare going on. I work in the medical field, and there are tons of people that are suddenly getting sick and have no explanation, and doctors don't know and can't figure out a diagnosis, and this could be it. I'm not saying that it is, but it could be it. The devil uses things like this to take control of this world, of these sicknesses, these just the madness that is going on now. And so after about 2 years of, there was a lot of miraculous things that happened in those 2 years, but there was definitely a lot of dark times for me that happened during those 2 years, where I was just trying really hard to come to terms with all of this. And here it is, almost 5.5 years later from the start, that I'm finally coming to terms and finding my purpose in this life, and quit hiding behind my story and my testimony and being scared to put out there how God has saved me. I have read the Bible. I started reading the Bible when this happened. My acupuncturist was a strong Christian faith believer, and he told me to start reading the New Testament, so I did. And it's all in the New Testament that Jesus rebukes impure spirits, and he says this will happen, not just in his time, but in an all time. So that really confirmed my belief in that this truly has happened to me. And it is time to share my story. It's time to let people know that this is real. Spiritual attack is real. Sickness is caused from this. The energy that they move in you is just dead energy, and it just shuts you down and just brings so much darkness, and it just makes you sick, and your body's not functioning, and you're not yourself. So my point of this today is just to give hope. I feel strongly that that's what God has put me in this purpose for, was to tell you there is hope. Do not give up. If you're experiencing anything that could even be remotely like my story, pray to God. Ask Him to lead you in the right direction. There are people out there that could help you. There are services out there. There are energy practitioners. There are people that God will lead you to who can save you, like I was saved. I look forward to what God has in store for me now. This sharing my story like this is a big step for me. It has taken me out of a very sacred place for me, but it's time. It's time for people to know. It's time that people see that spiritual attack is real, and that there's help, and that if we all get together to fight this fight and to fight the darkness, that we can move forward and bring peace in the world and bring peace to ourselves and just show that God heals and that He's good. Thank you.